Tips with Toni. Tips with Toni. All about nutrition from your favorite dietitian. Everything you need to digest in your mind. Tips with Toni. Tips with Toni. Making you healthier one bite at a time. With Toni. Woo.
Hello, and welcome to the Tips with Toni podcast. I'm Toni Marinucci, your registered dietitian, helping you get healthy one bite at a time. I hope you're enjoying 2 episodes a week. I'm excited to be providing you with some nutrition tips, with also some motivation and guidance and interviews with other professionals. So this has been really, really awesome for me. I told you that for the month of June, I'm going to be giving you nutrition-related tips related to the summertime. And I had previously produced an episode called Rethinking Your Drinking. So you might want to go back into the Tips with Toni archive of different podcast episodes where I talk about rethinking your alcoholic beverage choices. However, I wanted to use this episode to give you a little bit more specifics on like calories and sugar and certain drink options that you're choosing. So definitely go back to re-listen to Rethinking Your Drinking. It talks more about tactical strategies and what to consider if you're going to be drinking alcohol and how much and all of that. But this is going to be more so, listen, like in the summertime, I know I love being outside. I love drinking a glass of wine, especially if it's in the sunshine, by the water. Wine is like my go-to drink. An occasional cocktail I do like. I personally don't love the super, super sweet drinks, so I tend to go more just towards like a dry, like vodka martini, things like margaritas, although they're delicious. If I have more than a sip of it, I'm like totally okay with it. So I'm not really one to go for that, but I know some people do, and if you like things like pina coladas and strawberry daiquiris, whether there's alcohol in it or not, we know that those can have like a lot of sugar, and we definitely want to be mindful of how much of that we're consuming. So I wanted to kind of just talk about certain things and really just give you this book. I actually have a book. I got it as a gift one year for my birthday. It's called Skinny Cocktails. It's by Jacqueline Wilson Foley and Ray Foley. And they basically talk all about like calories and carbohydrates and different food, I keep saying food, drink choices that I will give you like the amount of calories and sugar and carbs and all that per bottle or per serving and all that. So I'm going to start with beer. I feel like beer is a good place to start. Now, we know that there's beers that are kind of full force, and then there's light beers. And we know that if we go towards the light, you're going to save on calories. The alcohol itself will still be there. However, some people say that if they go to light beer, they need double the amount. And so if that's the case, I would just say stick to what you like, enjoy it, and then be mindful of your portions. But if you can feel like you get the same buzz or the same enjoyment out of a light beer than a regular beer, then you definitely want to do it. So an example of that is if you had something like a Blue Moon Ale, they don't have light versions. Actually, I used to drink beer. Now I don't drink beer anymore, but when I drank beer, I loved Blue Moon. It was my favorite drink. And one 12-ounce bottle of Blue Moon has 228 calories and 18 grams of carbohydrate. Whereas a Bud Light has 110 calories and 6.5 grams of carbohydrates. So significantly less. So basically, you can have 2 Bud Lights for the price of 1 Blue Moon Ale. Now, there's something to be said about flavor and enjoyment. And I know some of you are probably thinking, well, like Bud Light tastes like water. And like, I would agree. So if that's the case, then just know that, having one drink of Blue Moon is going to be 228 calories, 18 grams of carbs. Nothing wrong with that, right? But then if we have 2 of them, that's going to be closer to about 500 calories. And that's where if you have 3 of them, oh my gosh, how am I eating healthy and still not losing weight? I eat healthy during the week, and on the weekends, I usually have 3 to 4 beers. I don't think that's much. Well, when we add it up, it's almost 1,000 calories coming just from alcohol alone. And then let's talk about probably what do you do after? We might eat more, or we might be hungover and we don't do our workout. So those are the sort of things I want you to be thinking about when you choose certain beverage choices. another thing, like, so those beers and stuff, they might be calorie laden, but the sugar is usually not too high, whereas something like a margarita or a sangria, those are going to have a lot of sugar. And so those are things that we need to be thinking about as well. So what do? I mean, they have skinny margaritas. I actually bought the skinny margarita mix. And so you can do a skinny margarita mix. You could just have less or a smaller portion of it. When you do sangria, you could basically have them not put any juice and just say, you want more of the wine. It's a little hard when you go to restaurants because they kind of make it the way that they make it. But if you're making it from home, that's definitely a different story. I'm like really big on thinking like if you can keep it simple, like have one fun drink, but the rest keep simple, I think you're better off doing that. So having things like a glass of wine versus sangria is going to be a better alternative. Also thinking about like if you're doing something like vodka or whiskey or rum, you can mix it with regular soda, or you can mix it with like a seltzer water, or you can do a diet soda. Now, your thoughts on artificial sugars and sweeteners, that's a whole other topic, and there is an episode about that on the Tips with Toni podcast. Or I'll say when you're drinking, like drinking is not a healthy thing to do regardless. So if it's the difference between regular soda and diet soda, I personally would go with the diet soda. However, if you could do something like club soda, like seltzer water, then that's always going to be, I think, the better option because it's just naturally has no added sugar to it. And then if your bartender has fresh lime juice, I find that using fresh lime juice like vodka seltzer and fresh lime juice is a game changer. And if you want to do like a splash of cranberry juice or a splash of pineapple juice, like that's fine. But we just don't want the drink to be mostly juice and a lot of alcohol and then very little seltzer water, right? So those are the sort of things you want to be thinking about. Alcohol really is a treat. It is something to be enjoyed. We don't want to indulge, just like sweets. If you do, you need to be mindful that there's most likely going to be consequences, okay? So I'm just going to scroll through this book that I have here and just pick out some options. Let's see. So here, let's give you some calories. So, things like Long Island iced teas, that's a lot of calories, a lot of sugar, just a lot of things. It's like a mixture of a bunch of different things. So, if we were to have, let's see, a mojito. A mojito is a pretty standard drink, I'd say, pretty popular in the summertime. So it's 1.5 ounces of Bacardi rum, a half ounce of lime juice, and crushed mint leaves the taste. And then instead of adding sugar, like a sweetener, you could do a sugar substitute, and that would be about 132 calories compared to if you were to do it regularly, it'd probably be over 200 calories. So those are things to think about. Here's a no guilt margarita option. We got 4 ounces of seltzer water, 1 ounce of fresh lime juice, 1.5 ounces of 1800 tequila, 2 packets of a no calorie sweetener. So this they're using like artificial sweetener, and that's honestly what you're gonna get in like those skinny drinks. And that's really comes down to personal preference. How do you feel? The only thing with artificial sweeteners is it might cause a little bit of like diarrhea, or some migraines or headaches or nausea. But hello, doesn't a hangover do all of those things? So another thing that can cause headaches is I know the sugary drinks mixed with the alcohol, something like a twisted tea or like, those are a lot of sugar. And so we have to be mindful. It's all about the amount that we have and we consume. And that's something to definitely think about. All right. Let's see. A pina colada. Pina colada, 2 ounces of unsweetened pineapple juice. Never heard of that. So now this is where I'm a little bit, here I am going through this book. I've never really gone through it before. I just decided to pick it up. Tell me where you can find an unsweetened pineapple juice, because naturally pineapples are sweet and they naturally have sugar. So I'm not sure how accurate this actually is now that I'm reading through it. However, I think it maybe means pineapple juice without any added sugar, so 100% pineapple juice rather than like a pineapple juice blend. So a pina colada would be 2 ounces of unsweetened pineapple juice, 1 ounce of Coco Lopez cream of coconut, 1 ounce of dark rum, and then blend with ice and serve in a tall glass. So if you're making the drink yourself, I think you can take a look at like how much sugar you're actually adding and make your own tweaks. If you're ordering it out, ask the bartender, is there a way to make this with a little bit less sugar? That's something you might want to consider. All right. So I hope that you found this helpful. Honestly, I just wanted to get you to start thinking about your choices, thinking about what you're consuming. And then one tip I will say is if you're going to be drinking a lot of alcohol, don't also have a lot of dessert. It kind of goes back to that all or nothing mindset. If you're new to the podcast, then this is something you're going to hear a ton. If you're not new to the podcast, well, hello, here it is again. The all or nothing mindset is really just setting you up for failure. I think everybody, there should be a little bit of room for leniency. However, we don't want to be giving yourself excuses all of the time because then you're never going to see results. So if you have any further questions, if you're someone who finds you do really well eating healthy Monday through Friday, but the weekends you just kind of overdo it, whether it be with fried foods or your sugary beverages or dessert choices, or maybe skipping meals and then overeating as a result, or ordering in takeout and not making the best choices, whatever it is, definitely send me an email, tipswithtoni@gmail.com. Tell me what your goals are, and together we'll basically discuss what you could do instead over the weekend to help you to make better choices so that you can make these choices more consistently. Not all in on the week and all off on the weekend, finding the balance throughout, and I'll help give you strategies to do that. So I hope you found this helpful. If you have any other questions or any other topics, suggestions for future episodes, please don't hesitate to reach out. If you're not in the Healthy Lifestyle Support Group on Facebook, you definitely want to join. You can find the link in the bio. And if you're interested in working with me one-on-one, I am accepting applications right now. So you want to go to www.tipswithtoni.com/coaching, and you can apply to my 6-month to Food Freedom Coaching Program. If you need anything else, I am here. Thank you so much for listening. This is the Tips with Toni podcast. I'm Toni Marinucci, your registered dietitian, helping you get healthy one bite at a time.